to Route 66.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Overwatch PIT NA Playoffs. This is a $15,000 tournament brought to you by all the lovely sponsors you see along the bottom of your screen. And I'm Ask Joshi, casting with Storm. We are heading into the second quarterfinal of the day. We still have one more BO3 match after this one. That will be the first semifinal in the winner's bracket. But we already saw Selfless get past phase 2-0. Now we've got Team Liquid versus Rise Nation, and we're starting out on Route 66.
Yeah, and for those of you just joining us, as you can see, a new component here for the side of Rise Nation, who actually opted to be on defense to get things started, but doesn't look like they're with Desro anymore. Not sure if that's a permanent change, but I was informed that this is a tryout for Primo, so we'll see how well he fares with this team.
All right, just a little bit of variety for us here from the group stages to the playoffs. Substituting a player is kind of a big deal. You have no idea, how much it's going to change your team dynamic in the heat of the moment. So I'm very curious to see if Rise Nation are successful here against Team Liquid, which we have seen actually probably have the most success they've had in recent memory. With Shatter 2K on the team, it seems like they're really hitting their stride recently.
Yeah, they only lost to Rogue in their group stages. A couple of close matches to get things started when they went 2-1 against Tempo and then 2-1 against Get Paid as well. But, like you had mentioned, they have probably looked the best they have in a long time. So we'll see what Rise is able to put up against them on the defensive side of things to get it started here in this best of three.
Well, Rafa started out, of course, on Hanzo, did not stick with it. But on the defense, you've got 2-2-2. With Soldier and Genji as the damage dealers here. Shatter 2K is going to be on Genji as well, and it's going to be basically full-on dive here for Liquid, so they're already moving forward looking for their targets. Primo Dolce's up there as the Reinhardt to help defend those squishies up there, but as it is, the cart's just going to move freely past the first corner before this chaos ensues.
Looking for Midnight to pounce, potentially. He's actually going to jump into the back line as we also see Mezer up top, just going to be dropped by Primo and allow for Midnight to get to safety. No, Midnight is actually going to be dropped, but the kill is still going in favor of Rise.
Looks like Retzi and Spirit combining for a couple of kills there, and Shatter 2K extremely low on health, actually can't get out in time before Retzi finishes him off there, sends him back to spawn. Liquid have a full minute already burned away from their available time, and Dehang, of all people, actually has the highest ult percentage on Team Liquid side. Spirit is actually very close to a Dragon Blade thanks to those finishing blows earlier.
That's because he came through with the kill on the Midnight, and like you had mentioned, Spirit nearing the Dragon Blade. This is going to be big for them to continue to hold on here, but again, we're going to see Mezer jump on top, actually back off this one. Midnight didn't get the memo. He's the first to drop here. I think that was a little bit of a bait play coming out there from Team Liquid.
Well, if it was intentional, it certainly paid off, and they should look to do that kind of thing again. But we've got a Nano Blade out now for Spirit. He gets 2 kills very quickly, or at least 2 chunks of those kills. He's going to hop over the cart onto ID. That's actually a very nice little finisher there for the value that they got out of it. Shatter 2K is going to launch his blade rather late in the fight, but it was because he killed Locke. Once Ana went down, he saw Lucio in front of him just hit the blade to try and remove both supports. So we're in an interesting kind of stagger battle here between both sides. Pulse Bomb's going to go flying out. Primo Dolce extremely low on health. Rise Nation are going to lose that Reinhardt and be on the ropes now.
Yeah, that was a big turnaround coming out there from Shatter with the Dragon Blade, able to help this team secure that. And of course, this Pulse Bomb follow-up from AZK, but they're going to still try to contest this one. No, Midnight not able to jump back to the payload in time. He's going to be taken down. They do lose the hang in the process, but it does take a few moments for that payload to get moving. So Team Liquid looking pretty good despite a poor opening.
Yeah, I think it's interesting seeing Rise Nation now. They're all the way back in the super far spawn to make sure they collect everybody and move together forward as one. But Primo Dolce is actually going to fall very early to AZK's Tracer, who has pressed up super far. This is actually in the 3rd stretch already that he's starting to find some kills. So Team Liquid rolling through. Still only one person pushing the payload. This is something that I would, again, love to see the math on. If a 3-push were happening this whole time, where would they be, and what is the benefit, gain or lost? But Rise have no way to defend just yet until they push out with Reinhardt.
We'll see what they're able to get with this. AZK taking a bit of damage. They're going to go ahead and pop the Primal Rage coming out from Mezer. Shatter finds the first pick. There's a Pulse Bomb as well from AZK. Finds Locke in the back. Another kill comes through as Primo going to be taken down. And Rise Nation really faltering here midway through this map.
That was brutal, and they got pigeonholed inside that small choke, and it was so easy for AZK to just throw a pulse bomb and hope it stuck something. Managed to get some good value out of it, and Rise again are in a position where it's going to be very difficult to actually contest the cart. He's got a Dragon Blade out now for Spirit. He falls extremely low health and actually has to hit Deflect just to be able to back out of there. Shatter 2K has a blade of his own and actually does manage to find the kill, but X-Retzy with the Tactical Visor on defense gives Rise Nation their first potentially successful hold here. He's still in full health, and Winston is not, so Rise finally grabbing the cart back.
They had to drop so many ultimates, though. We saw the Dragon Blade, the Earth Shatter, and Sound Barrier to get things started from Baz there. So not really what you want to have to actually bring out in that fight, but the fact that they actually got the hold before the second checkpoint was reached is pretty big because it takes a little bit of time to actually get back to that spot for the offensive side here. But not a lot to work with if you're Team Liquid either, so this might be an opportunity for them to make another hold.
They're asking for a pause, so hopefully that will be done after the team fight, but lots of ults were used actually, so it's kind of hard to hit pause during a battle like that, but Shatter 2K is dashing back and forth. Let's see, now the pause comes through after the battle ends, and the payload has reached its checkpoint. This is always a tough thing when it happens right at the beginning of a battle like that.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. 3:30 is a decent amount of time to work with as well for the last checkpoint here. And moving into it, both teams actually looking pretty dry in terms of ultimates, but that doesn't seem to be stopping Team Liquid whatsoever. A little surprised to see them do so well on offense to actually get this one underway in Route 66. So I don't know, Joshy. Think any changes need to come through here from the side of Rise?
It's potentially possible that a Reinhardt isn't necessary anymore on the third stretch. Maybe a Diva to help stay with your healers a little bit better and keep them alive, because the card itself has just been rolling constantly, right? It's anytime Primo Dolce is actually there, he's just getting spun around as the Reinhardt. So Earthshatter is nice to have, but when the majority of the time you're just getting surrounded and you're not holding the card up very well yourself anyway, I think they may just want to play a safer comp, and Mei is another character that could actually come in to mitigate some of that momentum, but Team Liquid, they're looking pretty good, and honestly at the moment they've just been out fragging until X-Retzy's Tactical Visor, won that only fight that they've been able to win.
Well, doesn't look like Primo wants to make that change over to the Winston. It is something he has played in the past on previous teams here, of course. Midnight, though, the first to drop here. Pulse Bomb's out as well. Finds the stick. Primo, good heals coming out there from Locke, but Spirit now under a lot of pressure. He's going to be taken down. It really feels like Rise are just all over the place right now, not getting a full regroup.
Well, it was kind of weird with the pause, but I think definitely they should have been a big group there, and the Pulse Bomb actually kind of backfired against them on that one. But X-Retzy does go down to Mezzer's Winston. You got Shatter 2K here with the Dragon Blade available. He's just waiting to use it. Doesn't actually need to commit it just yet, as they have all of Rise Nation actually bullied into their spawn point. You can see the Sound Barrier come out now here for the defense. Midnight is going to have to recall just to save his own life. There's a Tactical Visor now from ID. Can he get any value? He was pretty much on the high ground, and it does take out Midnight, but here's another counter Nano Visor from Retzy trying to find some kills, and it looks like Rise Nation will hang on with those few ultimates used.
Yeah, ID was only able to find one, unfortunately. Pulse Bomb's out there. X-Retzy going to be stuck. They find 2 kills with the AZK going to be taken down. It did force out the Dragon Blade from Spirit, though. He cleans this fight up eventually, buys himself a little bit more time here on defense.
Thank goodness they used, literally everything they had, because that cart was pretty much on fire headed into the final checkpoint there. Midnight does have a Pulse Bomb ready to go on the defense, but across the board, looks like everyone used their ultimates. Primo Dolce could be the next one we see generated, but Midnight drops his Pulse Bomb and actually does not find a kill with it, so he retreats very quickly.
Not a whole lot to work with from either team, though. Primo is nearing that Earth Shatter, just can't be taken out too early. He's actually the first to drop, unfortunately, here. Good flank coming out there from AZK, able to find that one. They do lose Shatter, but there's another pick ID coming up with a big one there with the Helix Rock.
Man, I was watching Spirit for the majority of that, but the rest of his teammates just were dropping like flies all around him, and he couldn't even make it back into his spawn for safety. So a minute 23 is going to be left on the clock for a full completed map here for Team Liquid's attack. Things just went really well for them. Every ult got the value they needed, and Rise looked like they were just getting picked off at inopportune times. The staggers were pretty brutal. That second stretch specifically was pretty rough for them, just trying to hang on until X-Retzy got the Nano Visor. But this was a pretty one-sided story so far on Route 66.
I can't really say I'm too surprised, given how Rise has kind of stumbled over their last couple of group stage games, Joshy. Dropping to Selfless, okay, I give them that one. But then dropping 0-2 to CLG. Granted, CLG is a terrific team, but just didn't see that coming out from Rise, especially the Rise that took down LG Evil earlier on, 2-1 in the group stage. So moving into this quarterfinal matchup, I had pegged them as the favorite up against Team Liquid. Like who I mentioned before, struggled with Tempo Storm and struggled against Get Paid in their group stage matches. So a little surprised to see this, but Team Liquid looking pretty good.
Yeah, they were firing on all cylinders there and were able to rotate the ultimates pretty well. There were only a couple of times where they had nothing across the board, including that final attack where they didn't have anything and they still managed to pull out the victory just with some nice assassinations on the defenders returning from spawn. But taking a look at the Rise base camp here inside the cafe, you can see Spirit already locked onto the Pharah, and I'm curious if that's going to be what actually comes out here as Lock. I haven't seen Lock on the Zenyatta in what feels like forever, and it's interesting that if you are going to run the Pharah, that you're not running Mercy with it. So if they do stick with this, it's going to be kind of interesting. But Team Liquid, they're actually in kind of an ambush position here with Mezzer and AZK up in the train car already.
We'll have to see. It looks like Spirit actually does want to stick with this one. Retzi, though, currently on the Widowmaker, looking for an early snipe if possible, expecting something like what we're actually going to see from these guys. They are going to look for some early pressure on the Primo. They might be forced to back off of it.
Well, AZK's still here at full health. He's actually looking for that kill on Winston, still very, very low on health. The Harmony Orb can't keep up with the DPS, and AZK snags a free kill, but Shatter 2K on the Soldier this time, not on Genji, is going to be taken out by Pharah. There goes AZK as well, so both DPS players are actually eliminated, and Retzi on the Tracer is actually having a field day here.
Yeah, and these trades are not good for the defense. That is such a long walk. They're going to be forced to get a full regroup. Still plenty of time to make a hold, Joshy, but ult charge clearly going to be in favor here of Rise Nation now with an opportunity to get a pretty quick first checkpoint.
Well, Spirit overhead, just watching that entry point here from the defender's spawn. There is a Winston and a D.Va just on the other side. He sees them now and is going to start shelling down on them. Rafa actually takes a rocket to the face. Shatter 2K actually eats a rocket very quickly, and Midnight tries to capitalize on it with the D.Va there. They do get the kill onto Hang. Now Lucio is under the gun, and he falls as well. So Liquid cannot get the regroup and fight that they want here. Even though Pharah does go down, that cart should be no problem to get to the checkpoint.
Just need to deal with AZK ID. Finally, Mezzer's going to be taken down. Pulse Bomb's out there. He actually gets the kill on the Faz. Midnight out of the mech as well. Self-destruct comes through as they are still trying to pull this one back in their favor. They're going to funnel onto this one, but unfortunately, it's just two supports and Shatter up top. I don't know. Can Team Liquid hold off?
It's very actually impressive that they managed to hang on as long as they did with no supports, and unfortunately the timing works out where the supports for the first one's back, but Rise Nation are going to get the cleanup now. AZK already back as Tracer for another round of deaths as he tries to contest the cart, but the checkpoint will be secured here. Another 2.5 minutes added to the clock, and Rise is not going to be too super aggressive with it as Liquid were a bit staggered. They already have their defense up on the high ground waiting.
Yeah, Spirit is yet to be dealt with on the Pharah as well. He used his ultimate in the last fight, but with as little work as they can get done onto him, I wouldn't be surprised to see him generate that rather quickly, Josh. He's a 4:15 to work with. Plenty of time as Transcendence gets things started here from Lock.
Interesting that the trans is going to be used so early with not everyone actually in the same area, but Nano Boost is going to go out. And Primo Dolce appears to have DC'd again as he was sitting perfectly still as Winston just getting destroyed by Shatter 2K. No one's asking for a pause though, so I'm not going to assume anything, I guess. Spirit is going to get taken out as well, and Rise will need to regroup for sure. This cart is fully under Liquid control.
Yeah, Primo is still sitting in the spawn as well, so no, he's actually good to go now. Yeah, I believe he did DC though, because I was watching his perspective, and he didn't even move at all. So that's a little unfortunate, Joshy, but even so, they are still moving the payload.
That's interesting that Liquid actually backed off. I think they lost somebody on the cart that they're waiting to return. It must have been a tank character, but yeah, Primo Dolce, I almost asked for a pause on their behalf because he just wasn't moving for so long. But Pulse Bomb goes flying out. Shatter 2K is the first one down here. Locke is down on the attacking team, so still anyone's battle. AZK eats a rocket. Nice little spin shot there from Spirit, and the cart is going to have the sound barrier out for Team Liquid. The barrage goes out to try and break him down, but the Diva Matrix actually does a great job slowing him down. Mezer actually bites the bullet as well, and Spirit survives with only 20 HP, gets mass rockets out during that encounter, and even survived dropping a barrage. So Rise are going to fully ride this one as far as they can. Liquid will have an opportunity to contest, maybe with a body or two.
Josh, you kind of weren't the biggest fan of not having the Mercy with this, but boy, is this Pharah really paid off, I'd say, for Rise Nation, because Shatter can't seem to find a way to deal with them. They're still going to look for the contest, though, as, they finally deal with him as they throw the self-destruct up pretty much right beside him. He can't get away from that. I
had Spirit's POV there, and he launched the concussive shot away from it, and it still just got blown up midair. It was pretty hilarious, but very, very crafty use of the Diva suit explosion, and Rise actually cannot finish the push. Team Liquid, huge props to them for shutting it down right at the last stretch.
Well, Spirit makes a move over to Genji as well, so clearly not having it with that Pharah picks. Especially since Shatter's coming up on that attack visor, he'd honestly be shut down immediately after that. But 150 to work with, not a lot of time given how far the spawn is for the offense.
Pulse Bomb goes out and did actually get a little bit of damage out, but apparently not enough. Diva Suit is going to go flying up now for the attackers. Midnight gets 2 with it, Soldier and Anna, and that was a nano boost actually that got destroyed in the process. So Rise Nation should be able to get some real momentum here.
They certainly should. I really don't know what Shatter was hoping to accomplish there, because the self-destruct was out and he just drops to the low ground and just puts himself in plain sight to be able to get killed out there by that self-destruct. He actually moves over to the Genji now, trying to combat Spirit, who has a Dragon Blade ready to go for this next fight. They do secure this next checkpoint. As soon as they can deal with the Shatter, he's finally going to be taken out.
Well, that was actually, again, a pretty nice stall out there from the two supports of Liquid, and long enough for Shatter to get back there to touch as well. And it's just precious seconds being bled off the clock. I don't think they're going to be able to match that time, even if they cruise through here. So Liquid really just trying to put their thumb down on Rise as much as possible. If they can shut them out and stop them from completing the map, that would obviously be the best case scenario. Spirit's got the Dragon Blade here, though. We'll see what he can do with it.
Yeah, the time might be similar if they can win a couple of team fights in a row here. We're going to see the Transcendence. Dragon Blade is out as well from Spirit. Picks up 1 kill into ID. They have 3 kills in the bag, Joshi, and Rise Nation might be able to continue to move forward.
Yeah, the Orb of Discord just bouncing from target to target, and Retzi and Spirit are able to pump out enough damage and keep themselves alive that Rise have continued to just pump on through here. The third section is going to be a little bit tough for Liquid. I see ID is on the Diva Suit here with just a little bit of ult percentage. You've got Retzi getting knocked down before he can actually get the Pulse Bomb off, so that's a big benefit here for Liquid. Looks like they still have a Nano Boost available as well.
I think Rise Nation should just back off this one. Not really sure why they're utilizing ultimates. They're at a big numbers disadvantage. And, you know, they've only got 120 to go, Josh. I'm not really sure what they were thinking.
I'm curious if the suit explosion was just to get another one back. I admit that I wasn't keeping an eye on his HP to see, but if he did launch it just as a result of losing the suit, I could see that being all right. But you're totally right. Don't want to commit any more than you need to. And now suddenly they only have a sound barrier to work with. 1 minute left. They're basically going to have to get it done here, and there's a matching sound barrier on the other side on Liquid.
Retzi, of course, moving over to the McCree now, maybe trying to deal with AZK, who has been quite the nuisance. They're going to go ahead and pop that. Nano Boost is out, though. Pulse Bomb not able to find anything, but they are going to use Sound Barrier. All ults on the table here.
Interesting. Mezer catches the Nano Boost here. Reinhardt having a difficult time finding targets, but Genji actually jumped right into his range. So that's kind of interesting, but 30 seconds left. Rise got flattened so quickly that they actually are able to group up again and make another go of it. Spirit does have Dragon Blade this time, but it's going to have to be a terrific one. AZK going down very early gives them a chance.
That's exactly why they brought out the McCree. The Shatter, though, comes out. So is that Graviton Surge, but Spirit trying to clean this one up for his team. He has the Dragon Blade out. He picks up 2 kills, making a third one onto this Diva, Joshi. And Rise Nation now have an opportunity to complete the map in overtime.
All right, we are in overtime, so we're going into third-person mode to see all the defenders returning for Swine. Looks like they're all going to take the left door, but there's nothing really there to stuff them, and I'm surprised they actually hopped off the cart just to take that high ground advantage. It did work out for them, though, as the Deadeye comes through with a kill on Rafa. AZK also going to be down. Diva Suit comes out. Earthshatter not necessary. ID still get back into the suit with about 50% HP. He's going to continue to contest, but I don't know if any other Liquid members are going to be able to get back. Rafa very close on the Lucio, but Tracer and Rafa both going to get knocked down incredibly fast, and they will finish it in overtime.
Yeah, that kill into AZK came out instantly. I think they expected him to live a little bit longer, but I'm going to go ahead and boost up the time there coming out from the side of Liquid as well, who are going to have a decent amount to more time to work with. 2:23 to 1 minute. That's a pretty big difference, I'd have to say, Joshy. So Team Liquid now have an opportunity to defend and see what they can do this time around.
Route 66 is a fickle map in these extra rounds. I know that anyone out there who's played enough competitive on this map knows that even a big time difference can actually still be tough to try and get through this first section. 1 minute or 2.5 minutes, it all just comes down to these individual kills. So as Rise Nation are the underdogs again, they will be attacking first here with only a minute to get that payload as far as they possibly can. But I've seen full map overtime pushes as well, you know. It could happen. They just need to find the individual kills, and they'll give themselves the best opportunities. But ID and Dehang actually, for the first time, are breaking out the Farah Mercy here for Team Liquid.
All right, let's see how aggressive they want to get this time around, because last time they did drop like flies. Excuse me. They had an opportunity to defend on top of the gas station as well, which they funneled in for quite some time, Joshy. So it looks like they want to continue with this aggressive defense that we see coming out from them, even though they made that change up to the Farah Mercy.
Liquid still taking the very forward defense here, and they're going to actually just reveal it as ID starts sending out some rockets, but Retzi's ready for it. He tries to send some bullets ID's way, and they are going to go ahead and bounce backwards a little bit, but that's the thing about Farah rockets. They do full damage from max distance, and he's still just shelling into them at that choke. The cart itself just now barely being touched here by Midnight. They're going to have Primo Dolce actually leap over the cart to try and find some kills, and Spirit from long range does get a nice kill onto AZK. Suddenly 4 Team Liquid members are dead, and Rise are pushing.
Well, that's the thing about them being able to hold off that long, Joshy. They've got 20 seconds. That's a lot of time for a regroup here from the side of Team Liquid before the first checkpoint's even reached. Not a lot in terms of ultimates coming up here, aside from X-Retzi nearing that Deadeye. So this is looking like a pretty evenly matched potential final engagement coming out from Rise.
I was watching Retzi there as he had the best view of the returning defenders, but now the battle is breaking out on the cart. Shatter is about to lose his Diva Suit very quickly there. Spirit is just flying around with 200 HP all the time, and it looks like the enemy Farah hasn't even turned to really look at him yet. ID's just going after those supports, and Retzi gets the kill onto the Team Liquid Farah, so Rise is still just cruising.
Retzi just tore them up single-handedly, I'd say, winning that fight for his team right there, finding 3 crucial picks to get that 1 star, most specifically onto that Farah Mercy setup we saw coming out there from Dehang and ID. So a real opportunity for Rise Nation to get a decent amount of distance, but it looks like Team Liquid want to go ahead and contest this.
I'm watching AZK now. Tracer joining the fight here with a Pulse Bomb. There's a Deadeye going out from X-Retzi. We'll flip over to him, and he's going to get jammed up by the defensive matrix from D.Va, as well as all the obviously present line of sight blockers. Diva Suit's going to go flying out. Does actually get a kill onto Shatter 2K. AZK Pulse Bomb finds a little bit of value there too, and both supports for Rise are down before they actually reach the checkpoint.
They use the Resurrect coming out there from Dehang just to ensure the victory here. They clean this one up. Despite looking like they were going to give up that first checkpoint, Joshy, it's going to be Team Liquid making the stand just before that first checkpoint.
It's a pretty good hold. I think they can get past it with 2.5 minutes. Obviously, they have the potential to beat that mark, but I have to say Rise maybe got a little bit more value out of it than they should have off the back of X-Retzi's McCree. I think the initial fight at the train cars, once they killed 4 Liquid people at a single time, they were able to get a ton of mileage off of that, and Retzi was ready to go for the Farah Mercy on the return. So Rise should feel pretty good about 81 meters in 1 minute, but they will still have to defend thanks to the earlier rounds where they let Liquid kind of stomp all over them a bit. But now they're going to set up on top of the gas station as you typically see, and you can see Liquid trying to make their decisions still. ID could go Pharah, could go D.Va. Looks like Widow is also a possibility here.
And this time around, Rise Nation aren't going to have a Winston on defense. They're going to go with the D.Va setup, going with the 2-2-2. So we'll see how this works out for them because they played a little bit more reserved. And I think that's honestly the way to go with 2:23 to defend that first checkpoint. So we'll see what they're able to do with this one. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to whether or not Spirit can find these picks into the back line.
I'm watching AZK and Shatter just lined up at the starting line here, like they're about to have a sprint through Route 66, and perhaps they might on the way over to the Rise defenders here. As the door opens, they've got plenty of room to actually get through here. Rise are going to allow them to get all the way up to the corner with the composition that they've chosen with Soldier, Reinhardt, and D.Va. So they're playing a little bit of a sustain comp rather than kind of a divey defense.
Well, oh, the Widowmaker from ID picks up the first headshot there on the Spirit, and that is not how you want to start your Rise Nation.
Definitely true, and I was not watching ID's Widowmaker because I thought there was no way he was going to get a free shot on top of the gas station like that to start us off. Primo Dolce's shield, where was it? I don't know, but obviously it's going to be Team Liquid just blasting through here, getting all the kills cascading after that.
That was just poor positioning from Spirit. I mean, his shield was up, but they were on the bridge back towards the spawn, and that's how he found that opening pick. Found another headshot as well, and Joshi, is that game over?
It might be. Obviously, they have the chance to clamp down here, but no ults to work with. And ID, of course, is going to have to be a consideration up on the high ground back here. Spirit's going to get right in his face. Dehang is going to be the first one down. Nice combo there from Xretzi to take him out with Spirit. But ID's on the run now, but it's a 2v1 situation, and Liquid are still pretty much in control of the cart. Shatter 2K is going to bring out his Dragon Blade and start slicing. AZK gets 2 kills very rapidly there, and as Spirit goes down to the Widow again, that's going to be Team Liquid taking game 1.
ID was able to divert so much attention to dealing with him. Both Xretzi and Spirit weren't even a part of the main fight going on the payload just before we saw that one wrapped up there. They were too busy dealing with the Widowmaker, which I believe they didn't even find the kill onto him. So a pretty solid push, second push, I guess you could say, coming out there from Team Liquid, securing the first map here and going up 1-0 in the series, looking pretty strong.
Yeah, right after Dehang fell, Tracer and Genji went after ID's Widowmaker, and ID got the kill onto Genji by the end of that encounter. So incredibly good talents there, staying alive, and Shatter 2K gets the play of the match honors, basically for cleaning up right before that final game over parking position. Xretzi with 57 limbs and 57% kill participation. That's a rarity, I would say, to have them line up like that.
Rise got all 4 cards as well,
nice.
even though they ended up dropping that one. So that is a little bit of a rarity, well, I'd have to say. But it's going to be up to Rise to see what map they want to head to, and get to that second map to see if they're able to pull one back in their favor. Joshi, not looking too good there. I mean, they're a lot of up and downs, I think, coming out from Rise throughout most of that.
Well, I think we got good looks from both teams at different points throughout that, but Liquid, I mean, they finished with a solid minute left on the clock, so still looking like perhaps the favorites, even, you know, no matter what map we move on to. The only other map I know that is in the pool is Lijiang Tower, because that's where Selfless and FaZe went to for their game 2, but Rise Nation...
And Kings Row.
Oh, right, Kings Row is also still out there, so we'll see now as Rise Nation have a moment just to collect their thoughts and figure out, you know, what their weaknesses and their strengths were in that first Route 66 and try to kind of shake out all the issues before going in. But thanks so much, everybody, for coming to watch us here. Already over 7,000 viewers for the Overwatch PIT NA playoffs. Thanks for coming to watch Rise Nation versus Team Liquid here. We will still have another best of 3 after this one with Selfless facing off against the winners of this BO3. And Selfless already off to a hot start today, moving past FaZe with a very impressive Kings Row and Lijiang Tower back-to-back. So Xretzi letting the admins know Lijiang Tower is going to be the map of choice for Rise Nation.
Was kind of expecting that to be the case because we saw how kind of evenly matched they were on that payload map there. And then, of course, Team Liquid just barely edging them out here. So Lijiang Tower going to see a different game mode again coming out. from both these two teams here and see if Rise Nation are able to pull one back in their favor. But given the composition they were running earlier, even with Primo on the Winston, it didn't really work out for them too well. So I'm curious to see what they want to bring to the table.
Yeah, we saw a variety of characters for some players, and others kind of just stuck to their guns. I think Shatter 2K was pretty much on the Genji the entire time for Route 66, but that makes sense because he's good in pretty much every stretch there. But
yeah,
Control Tower, Lijiang Tower, a little bit of a different animal. Genji obviously still very viable here, so wouldn't expect to see him switch it up. But players like ID, who have quite a lot of flexing heroes that they can play, might actually get to see a few different heroes out of him. Spirit is going to start off locking in the Pharah for Rise Nation, but we are loaded into the map now, and we can see everyone kind of making their selections. If Dahang does leave with a Mercy, I would expect a Pharah. I don't think I've seen a Mercy without a Pharah in recent history.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit did a pretty phenomenal job when they made their first push on Route 66, as they, the side of Liquid really weren't able to deal with him whatsoever until I believe he was dealt with once and then immediately made the change over to the Genji. So I like this pick coming out from him. It had a good showing on Route 66. So let's see what they're able to get done with it into a Mercy. I'm curious, is Dahang really going to stick with that Mercy?
I mean, he played it earlier. Like I said, I don't think I've seen it without the Pharah for so long that it doesn't seem like a justified pick when Ana exists, right? Because you don't have the CC, you don't have the Biotic Grenade, you don't have Nano Boost, and if they're putting all the eggs into the res basket, they need to protect the heck out of Dahang, and Pharah's not going to be able to do it because she doesn't exist on the field.
Maybe they're using it. Oh, I was about to say that maybe they were using it so they could, like, amplify the damage of the 76 to deal with Spirit, maybe. But immediately he was the first to go down and finds a couple of follow-up kills.
Goodness gracious. I switched to Spirit right as that first rocket popped off and got the elimination, and then he gets two more back-to-back. 3 elims in a row here for Spirit, and Rise are going to grab the first capture point here. Dahang's already up to 50% toward a res. That's pretty impressive despite Team Liquid actually being bopped on the first fight. Retzi now trying to salvage this fight as 3 of his teammates have gone down already. I don't know what he's going to be able to do now against the Lucio Tracer Winston in his face.
Yeah, and you got to remember they made the flip about halfway through that fight, Joshi. So only 13% was actually gained from the side of Rise, despite looking really strong to get this first round underway. So Liquid going to be able to take the lead here. They do have the Resurrect, which could be big heading into this next fight.
All right, Spirit with the Barrage already good to go because of the amount of damage he's been pumping out. 25% now for Liquid, and we've got a crazy battle taking place in the cafe. Barrage goes off just to shut down Genji and can't quite get a second elim, but at least he didn't die during the Barrage. Now there's a visor going off from ID. He does not have Nano Boost, remember, because Dahang is not only on Mercy, but he's dead. Midnight on the other side uses his tactical visor as well and does find a kill, still actually shooting into the enemy spawn, but Liquid have gotten the percentage up to about 50 before Rise are finally able to break in here, and Shatter is going to still make life difficult, slicing up anyone in his path. The res is going to get used by Liquid to try and stay in control.
Yeah, and Primo just goes ahead and dives off the map. What an incredible play coming out from Shatter. Able to turn that fight back in their favor. They use the Resurrect as well. Dahang already up to about 25% again, and still maintaining a couple of ults. They have the Primal Rage and Sound Barrier heading into potentially a final fight, Joshi.
Retzi drops the Pulse Bomb, does get the stick he's looking for. Mercy is still MIA here for Team Liquid, and they are just making a habit out of gunning down Mercy as quickly as possible. I'm surprised the res even came through at all in that last fight, but here we are on the point. Retzi finds the kill on Rafa. ID is down to his counterpart, Spirit on the Pharah, and Mezer suddenly the last person standing, trying to just milk that percentage out as much as he can. Shatter 2K doesn't have a Dragon Blade this time to save the day, so Rise still looking pretty good to take it.
You gotta remember, though, a lot of ultimates were forced out there from Rise, but Midnight again back up to 70 on his ult. They're still keeping this staggered, getting up to 99%. 2 of them are still on the point. They're trying to pull this one back around. I think they're just feeding them ult charge that they don't need to. I think when you hit that 99, it's okay to just back out, Josh, and look to win one fight to be able to secure the round.
Yeah, totally. It's all about the exact second once you get in there, making that decision. Do I go in? Do I need to? Of course, they're communicating on comms, so everyone can kind of chime in. You know, Winston, go in. Winston, use Primal Rage or not, etc. But we've got a tactical visor here from ID as well as Midnight. They're actually shooting across at each other, but a sound barrier available for Midnight means he's going to get a little bit more value. Dehang is dead, pancaked again as one of the first people down in the fight. AZK out on the point, tosses out a pulse bomb, but Zen triggers Transcendence to save his own life. Retzi finding the kill on ID means Rise should stay in control yet again.
I think that was well worth Liquid even losing out on that fight. They forced out a Transcendence, attack visor. They don't have a whole lot moving into this next fight, but we've seen what Shatter can do, you know, with that Dragon Blade and not need anything else to help them out. They have a Resurrect coming up as well. And Team Liquid, all they need is one team fight to secure the round.
Barrage right in the face of ID and Rafa, and they're both down. Rise looking pretty good off the start of that, but Spirit is going to fall during the barrage, and the res finally comes in from Dehang. He wasn't the first person dead this time, so he's able to give Liquid a huge opportunity. Shatter does have the Dragon Blade ready to go, and several members of Rise are already down. The Primal Rage from Primo Dolce does extend the fight a little bit, but 99% overtime triggers. Liquid grab the round to start us off on Lijiang.
They didn't even need the Dragon Blade from Shatter to secure that one as well, because of course they didn't need to flip the point because they did that mid-fight. So a very strong start coming out there from Liquid. Rise, I gotta admit, looked pretty good with Spirit on the Pharah. I don't really think that Pharah was an issue by any means. I think it was more or less trying to deal with AZK and of course Shatter coming out there with a couple big Dragon Blade.
Spirit did a pretty good job on Pharah. I think usually when he died, it was when the fight was kind of already lost, but the opening fight, his barrages all seem to get pretty good trades, so I think Spirit's Pharah is pretty good. I don't know if Genji would serve them any better here. This is a point where you tend to see Pharah the most often, really, on the Lijiang Tower, just because of the environmental kill potential, but it's going to be Pharahs on both sides. Dehang is still going to stay on the Mercy, and Locke is going to stay on the Zen, so a little bit of a variety match here on the Garden level.
And I think Spirit's going to be at a disadvantage, of course, going up against the Far Mercy setup we see now from ID and Dehang. But Dehang, the first to drop here. A nice flank from Retzi, able to secure the first kill. They do lose their main tank in Primo, but return fire again, and it looks like Rise Nation will be able to come through with the first points in round number 2.
Spirit's still just planting those rockets directly on anyone who approaches him. Really good start for him again in this opening fight. Allows Rise Nation to grab the point first, and they need it because, you know, they're down in the series already, starting to fall behind in Lijiang Tower. They really need to maintain control as much as they possibly can here. Shatter on the approaching Genji, already coming up through the window, just getting a look at things here. He's going to be warded away by the Winston, but his team does have enough time to get in, so they're going to take the battle straight to the point.
Look at the ult difference here from ID and Spirit. Spirit's almost double what he has right now. A nice pulse bomb though from Retzi, able to find the pick on the Mezzer. AZK returns with one of his own. He finds 3 kills for Team Liquid, and they are going to be able to pull this one back in their favor, Joshi, despite losing out about 40+%.
Spirit is in the danger zone. ID finally plants that rocket air shot to take him out, but Spirit was dueling against a Pharah and a Mercy, and that's something you never want to do as the lone Pharah. So as he goes down, that is going to be Team Liquid finally grabbing the point for themselves. 41% for Rise Nation, not bad at all, and of course they will have a chance to break right back in here. No ults really available on either side, but they are starting to come online. Shatter's Dragon Blade should be the first one getting some use here.
And they have the Resurrect to work with. He's going to go ahead and pop this one, though. They find an immediate kill on the Midnight. They lose the Mercy, who has the Resurrect, Joshi, but I don't think it's really going to matter in the end here unless we actually see Retzi coming through with a few big picks. There's the Pulse Bomb. Not able to find the kill, unfortunately, though Mezzer takes a little bit of damage here. Got to remember, Dehang is coming back with the Resurrect.
There's a barrage coming out from Spirit and actually doesn't get any kills. AZK, on the other hand, finding tons of openings here on the side of Team Liquid. They're actually going to pass Rise's score now, 42% against 41, and climbing. Dehang has the Resurrect, so he can actually kind of sit this next battle out if he wants to, just try and stay safe and ensure that they get another fight out of it. But who's going to actually be engaging here? Primo Dolce does have the Primal Rage, so he's going to be leaping over the Spire here. As Dehang goes down, there's no res on the board for Liquid. Sound Barrier comes out on both sides, and Primo Dolce is going to use the Primal Rage, start smacking people on the point. Rafa in a little bit of danger here. Spirit finds the kill on the enemy Pharah, and Rise have a nice window open.
And it's all because they found that first pick coming out there onto Deheng again, 2 times in a row. He's coming back, though. Can he find an opportunity to bring it up? He actually does get all of his teammates back up into this fight. Despite that, though, Midnight comes through with the Tac Visor, pulls bomb out as well from Xretzi, and Rise Nation will be able to pull this back in their favor. But the entire time, Team Liquid held on to that point.
Man, it was so telegraphed, I guess, that Midnight just hung on to the Tac Visor. He knew it had to be incoming, and he was already in a great spot from where the animated corpses were. He had plenty of leverage to use that tactical visor. Shatter is going to pop the Dragon Blade and immediately get surrounded and taken out. Transcendence is going to get used by Locke, so make sure Rise don't blow it here. 58% is not enough to rest on just yet. ID is actually going to move on to the point, finds the kill on Locke a little bit sneakily here. Spirit under the gun now survives with only 24 HP. He's hoping a support can get him back up as quickly as possible. He's actually just going to grab a health pack and be right back in there. But it's still anyone's point at this juncture. 73% against 85 means one big battle will determine who grabs this point last.
And if Route 66 wasn't showing you how evenly matched these teams seem to be here, Lijiang Tower certainly should be, as both teams could be heading into this fight completely dry. I guess Mezzer is nearing a primal rage, but they don't really have that Resurrect to work with, so not really going to be much of a threat for Rise Nation. They have to get on this point, and they lose AZK to get it started. Shatter going to be dropped as well. Rise Nation on the verge of taking round 2.
Rise Nation winning the ground war while the Pharahs are just shooting at each other, and Mercy only healing the Pharah meant that she was not really taking place on the point itself. Xretzi is going to get smacked into the void, but is able to recall and get back up to safety. That will, again, give Rise a great opportunity here, and that Orb of Discord from Locke. Every time I see it bounce to a target, it just gets completely disintegrated. So props to Locke for staying on the ball here with that Zenyatta. It looks like Liquid players a little too far out to keep this going.
Midnight comes through there with the pick on the ID. Pretty much saw that one coming, especially after finding the first 2 picks from Rise Nation. So a good battle back coming out from Rise, able to find themselves with at least 1 round here on the second map. And Joshy, they're going to have to find a couple more here if they don't want to end up dropping this series 0-2. But maybe they start to find their rhythm. It's looking pretty good, I'd have to say, from Spirit in particular.
Finally, they do get a point on the board. I mean, this is the closest they've been series-wise so far in this quarterfinal against Liquid. But I think AZK is still playing at the top of his game, and he's going to be a valuable tool here on the control center where Pharahs are not going to be in play at all. Tracers tend to kind of run the show here. Genji's also can be in that position. It looks like only one side is running Genji and Soldier, though. Liquid going for a tank-heavy composition with AZK as the only DPS.
Yeah, changing it up quite a bit, putting Shatter, of course, on that Zarya and ID over from the 76 now onto the Diva here. Maybe to look for a way to deal with Xretzi, who has been doing a pretty terrific job in terms of flanking the supports here. But we do see Liquid getting really aggressive to get this one underway. AZK, a little dangerous. ID is the first to actually drop out of the mech.
As Primo Dolce dies, though, so does Shatter 2K. Liquid maybe a little on the underside here as Mezzer goes down as well. Rise seem to have been gaining the advantage slowly but surely. AZK does find Xretzi in the mix, but Midnight grabbing 2 more limbs means Rise are pretty much good to go here. Just need to eliminate Rafa, and they can get that point control.
Yeah, definitely another solid start coming out from Rise. And, of course, Spirit already closing in on the first Dragon Blade after just 1 team fight. Needs to be careful of AZK with the pulse bomb, but other than that, no real threats to him with the Dragon Blade. So we'll see what he's able to make of it here as Rise Nation really poised to actually come up with quite a few percentage off of this next fight potentially as well. Dragon Blade now out from Spirit. Not able to find anything, unfortunately, as he's actually getting batted away there by Mezzer on the Reinhardt. Despite that, Xretzi coming through with a couple of big kills for them.
Yeah, while Genji's unfortunate Dragon Blade was transpiring, Xretzi still had a great time on Tracer, bouncing from target to target. No problems there. Rise managed to hang on yet again, and this is about the time where they got flipped on the previous stage and had a tough time grabbing it back, but they still have the ultimate advantage here. Locke is about to have Transcendence, Midnight with his visor. There's a nano boost out. Midnight's on the complete opposite end, so I wonder if he's going to pop his visor or not. Pulse Bomb actually blows up the Diva suit and to hang on Ana there, so Rise are looking pretty good.
Yeah, the nano boost on the Mezzer got no value whatsoever because Locke just pretty much stood around him, so he couldn't find any damage, any kills, and 65% here for Rise Nation. one team fight away from sealing this third round, and Midnight ready to go with the Tac Visor. They have the Primal Rage to knock them back as well, so this is looking like Rise Nation now on the verge of going up here on Lijiang Tower.
Here comes a Fire Strike incoming, just in time to be deflected back. Diva eats it, so a net of 0 across 3 different heroes there. Spirit just bouncing off the ledges now, watching the incoming attackers. Mezzer has Earthshatter here, but the team that he's facing against is going to be pretty hard to line anything up, and he actually gets folded right at the beginning of the fight. When Rise Nation commit the Sound Barrier and the Tactical Visor, they have an awesome start to the fight, and Liquid commit their Sound Barrier a little bit late. Graviton Surge also somewhat late here, as ID's already lost his mech. To hang is down as well. ID's also just going to be eliminated, and man, that was a couple of ults from Liquid that did not get the job done. Mezzer shows up just at the last second to flatten some people with Earthshatter, but AZK and he cannot get the job done. Rise take 100-0 on Control Center.
Midnight is just sitting up top, and no one is doing anything about the Soldier 76 punching out the damage from above here. So like you said, 2-1 lead now for Rise, and 1 round away from moving into a third map in this best-of-3 series, Joshi. I don't know. Team Liquid might need to go back to what they were running previously. I'm not sure I like this composition we saw from them in that last round.
Bring back the Dehang Mercy. It was the only chance. Dehang is back on Mercy here, but there's no Pharah again in tow. Shatter is going to be playing the Genji once again here. Spirit, Xretzy, Midnight sticking to what's been working pretty well. Spirit obviously played the Genji last round, but his Pharah has been doing a decent enough job here in the market, or excuse me, the garden level. As doors open, it looks like Rise and company are going to be headed just straight over the bridge. Primo Dolce probably going to be the first one to engage here, trying to find Shatter.
Yeah, they're going to have to find out a way to deal with Spirit, of course, to hang on the Zenyatta. He didn't want to stick with that Mercy, as kind of expected, I guess you could say. But Spirit, or excuse me, Midnight, finding the first pick, and that's pretty much going to back Team Liquid off again and give Rise Nation more than likely the first points, unless we want to see them move into this point outnumbered.
Yeah, that would not be advised here, and just the composition that they have, losing a DPS like that is a pretty good door jam to keep them from getting inside. But Xretzy gonna combo with his teammates there to take out Mezzer incredibly quickly. Midnight's already down as well, thanks to a nice Helix rocket from ID. Xretzy still having a good old time here, just blinking as necessary, finding the kills there. Rafa's under half health, and Retzy's trying to get him destroyed there, but Spirit and Locke on the outside find ID and AZK, so Rise continue to be in control of the point. Liquid, it's been like a long time, I think, since they've been able to grab the point back. They're kind of falling apart here.
Yeah, this really doesn't seem to be working for them whatsoever. Again, no, they have the tools to deal with Spirit on the Pharah. They just really can't find the angles to actually, try to assault him here. As well as Xretzy with the flanks. He's out there. Pulse Bomb comes out. Doesn't find anything, unfortunately, but there's a flank coming out now from the side of Mezzer. AZK trying to turn this fight around.
All of Liquid is on the point, but it seemed like Rise were not there to help out, so it's going to be Spirit actually being the first one down. Both Mezzer and Rafa now eliminated for Liquid, makes that push a little bit more difficult. Transcendence is going to be used by Dehang, who notably did switch off Mercy at some point. Shatter is going to get in the mix. ID's Tactical Visor getting the cleanup there on Xretzy, and Liquid should be able to grab it back. Spirit's going to jump in with the Barrage. He better be switching, because that was an awful move there.
That didn't make any sense whatsoever, and if he doesn't switch, that could be okay. He's not going to be switching Joshi, so I'm not really sure what he was trying to do into a 1-on-5. But I guess I've made more questionable calls in my own competitive games here, so I'm not going to question that one. They still got up to 62% Joshi, so that's what matters. I'd have to say here. Shatter though, ready to go with the Dragon.
I've stumbled onto a Tracer versus Tracer duel where literally no one else is there to mess it up, and actually neither side ended up winning. Sound Barrier comes out here for the main fight. Midnight on the Tactical Visor getting some value there. AZK is going to come out and take out that Soldier before going down himself to the Primal Rage of Primo Dolce. Liquid still in control of the point, but Rise Nation do have the numbers now to move onto the point, take out this Primal Raging Mezzer as quickly as they can, and try to get that flip.
And they should be able to grab this one. Still about 45% up there from Team Liquid. So a little bit better than the previous round. But they're going to have to find themselves with at least a couple more team fights if they want to be able to come through and push this to a round number 5. Not a lot to work with. AZK is going to have to come up big with a Pulse Bomb. Otherwise, I fear the worst here for Team Liquid.
All right, everybody heading around to the hallway side, or White Room as it's sometimes called, and just trying to lower the chances of any environmental kills. But Retsy's going to be the first one down. Locke eats a pulse bomb on Zenyatta, and Rise Nation already crumbling. 3 deaths on their side, and Dehang will get eliminated, so it's still breaking down, and Spirit with the barrage might change the formula a little bit. He trades with AZK. Shatter's still on the point, though, finds the kill on Faz, and suddenly it looks like Team Liquid have the numbers, but the trickle is going to be real here.
Still, do they want to continue to get onto this point? They're actually going to be backing off, looking for a full regroup. Definitely the advisable move from Rise Nation. At 99%, don't really want to risk anything, especially since the point was already flipped, but a lot to actually work with if you're Team Liquid. You could maybe, if this is extended team fight, push it to 1 team fight and a trickle for the side of Rise Nation. Looking favorable here for Team Liquid to move it into a round number 5.
Here comes the Tactical Visor from ID in conjunction with the Sound Barrier. Just barely misses the frag on Spirit, but does get it in the end anyway. 4 kills in about 2 seconds, and Rise are all going to jump off the side as quickly as they can to regroup. Liquid are only up to 80%. Dehang used his ult, ID used his ult, Rafa used his ult, so Rise might actually have an opportunity here. They just have to win a very low ult fight.
Yeah, didn't really see the point of that Transcendence coming out there from Dehang. Unfortunately for him, Locke's going to have it. Dragon Blade's out there looking for Midnight. Does he find him? No, Transcendence comes through as Locke gets him to safety here. No value out of the Dragon Blade. No kills on the board. Dehang actually the first to drop.
Shatter can't find too much with his Dragon Blade in the end. Spirit is going to be right above him, just raining rockets down, plants one right on ID's head to make sure that he gets eliminated. Rafa, I don't know, he actually just got eliminated in midair there by Spirit, and that is going to be Rise actually just taking the point back. The calculated retake actually was worth it. The patience that they showed was worth it, and they will win the map here. Lijiang Tower goes to Rise Nation. They'll tie up this BO3 series.
So headed to a very, very close game number 3. Pretty much, Josh. Definitely a lot closer series than the previous one, as expected, heading into this one. And we get to see who's going to take on Selfless now after we find out what map they want to head to.
That's right. Selfless already waiting in the next match for the winner of this series. Get a look at the cards here. Retsy, 57 elims the first time, 56 this time. And a slightly lower kill participation.
Yeah, Retzy, not really living up to the expectations, I'd have to say. But
What
you know,
is
coming
he
up
doing?
big, regardless. He had some terrific flanks coming out throughout all that series, or all that map itself. Really turning things around compared to what they did on Route 66, which was still really close. But that Lijiang Tower was, aside from the first round that went to Liquid, that was really heavily favored in terms of Rise Nation. So we'll see what map Liquid wants to head to next, and should be the final one of this series.
Yeah, and the only one we know for sure is in the pool is King's Row, so maybe that will be the order of the day. But at the moment, we're here back in the lobby, getting ready for Game 3. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming to check out Overwatch PIT NA Playoffs. This will obviously continue tomorrow as well with the other 4 teams that you're not seeing here today, including Rogue be in action tomorrow. But excuse me, guys. Storm and I both actually have a little bit of sickness, I guess I should say. We've both been casting like non-stop for a couple of weeks now, and the fatigue is really starting to add up just on our voices. But King's Row is going to be the choice here for Team Liquid. So Game 3, locked and loaded. I expect another incredibly close one just from what we've seen so far. It looks like Rise Nation have really gotten the momentum back on their side, so it might be Liquid looking as underdogs as we head into Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, just from what we saw on Route 66 in particular, heading to, you know, probably the most practiced map, King's Row, and what we quite often see teams completely finish it out, and, you know, if they're that evenly matched. So I'm expecting something to happen similar to what we saw on Route 66. I'm still sticking with Team Liquid here. I feel like Rise really were able to pull out that dive composition that worked pretty well for them on Lijiang Tower, and, you know, it could definitely work for him here on King's Row, but I'm feeling Team Liquid here. I think they take the series 2-1, but we'll see if Rise Nation are able to continue with that momentum pulling forward here, especially after, you know, 3 rounds in a row coming out on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower felt like a whole series just by itself. It was very back and forth, but just thinking back to Route 66, Team Liquid did have a pretty unstoppable attack, and it looks like they are wanting to attack first here in game number 3. So Rise need to be ready for anything, I guess. Playing cautiously on defense to get started, just to make sure they don't paint themselves up for a difficult situation in extra rounds. Still just waiting for the players to ready up here, but again, thanks everyone for coming to check out Overwatch PIT. We've got another BO3 after this. If you haven't been paying attention, we're going to have Selfless versus the winner of this Game 3 just minutes afterwards. So as soon as Liquid are ready to go, it looks like they do have someone MIA just for a moment. Yeah, PIT has been a pretty great tournament. I like the fact that we're seeing EU and NA action every day. Earlier this morning, we had some great playoffs there, and Movie Star Riders actually made it into the winners' final.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the loser of the series isn't out. It's double elim bracket, so I believe the loser of this will take on FaZe in the lower bracket, if I'm not mistaken.
I will double check.
So definitely still an opportunity for both these teams, win or lose, to battle their way back into the Overwatch pit. But of course, they want to move on into the semifinals and have a shot to take down.
It does appear to be the case that the losers of the two matches will face each other first in the lower bracket. So after this game, we're going to have both of our next matches decided, but Kings Row is loaded up now, so we'll go ahead and head into the match. You can see Rise Nation on the defense here, 1 point for themselves on Lijiang Tower. Team Liquid attacking. They earned their map win on Route 66. And make sure we get the attack and defend here. Everything's good to go for game number 3. So looking at the defensive composition, it's going to be triple tank plus soldier. I think we saw this same composition earlier today, but it was a D.Va instead of a Zarya on defense. I still am a fan of Zarya pretty much at all times on defending compositions.
Yeah, I think you're right with that one. Not really sure what we're going to see from Team Liquid to get things started here, but I'd imagine it's them going back to pretty much what they're running right now. Maybe ID wants to stick with this Widowmaker. We saw him on Widowmaker on Route 66, and he came up with 2 big picks, I believe, on their second push. It was Joshy to help them secure that checkpoint and actually win that map. So Team Liquid, see if they want to stick with this one. AZK actually making a move over to the McCree. No, he's back on Tracer. So we'll see what they can get done with this.
ID is going to start on the Widowmaker, though, and we saw earlier today on Route 66 he actually got a surprise pick to get things started there, but not going to be the case this time. Of course, Rise Nation are full aware of the starting Widow shenanigans. They're going to just move behind Hotel to get started, and Shatter and ID already trying to make their way around this high ground to force the defense into just a small area here, but Retsy's actually going to take this as a cue to move around the backside and start looking for some kills. Spirit inside the Hotel trying to block up Tracer as much as he can, misses the hook and the shots though. Liquid still looking okay here on the attack.
Yeah, it's the Rise Nation just pulling all the way back around here. Mezzer getting a little aggressive. He's going to continue with this one. They almost found the pick there on to Retsy. Not going to be the case, so as we actually do see Rise move into this fight, AZK finds the first pick. Primo, the main tank, is going to be taken down, and Rise Nation on the defensive, not looking too strong here.
Shatter 2Ks just bouncing around his Genji, fell below 100 health one time, but since then he's just been sending out those shurikens like crazy. Discord Orb actually goes on to Retsy's nano-boosted Soldier, but the point was already secured, so you can hear the chimes there as the payload is about to start moving out. Rise are in a very difficult position now. Anyone who dies here is going to get sent on the super long spawn, so Liquid, really nice that they were able to cap it and then get 3 kills afterwards.
I think that was a rotation gone wrong for Rise Nation because out of nowhere, the point is captured. I think they gave up too much ground, and they should have moved in a little bit earlier, so maybe that didn't happen. But now look at the ults starting to stack up for Team Liquid. They've got 4, almost 6 ready to go, Joshy. If they can manage these properly, this should look like a pretty favorable map for them.
Ooh, Pulse Bomb explosion from AZK. Taking out the enemy Reinhardt so quickly is an amazing benefit to them. Midnight and Spirit, Retsy all falling as well. Vaz doesn't last much longer as Shatter 2K got the resets on pretty much everybody. So excellent start here for Team Liquid in the Streets phase. They're looking pretty much unstoppable on their payload offenses today.
Yeah, and that's the ult management I'm talking about. You use a Transcendence, and AZK already halfway back to his ultimate. They don't even use the ones that are, you know, a little bit more difficult to generate than a pulse bomb. But there's another kill. Xretzy going to be taken down here. I'd be surprised if Primo hangs around. He is actually going to be dropped as well. They used Attack Visor's ID, able to help his team clean that up.
Spirit somehow ended up under the map. I don't know if it was to rejoin his teammates. It must have been, actually. He was the last person really out of the spawn. And Faz and Locke both die in the spawn. Liquid already in a position where they can just camp the defenders, and they are still rounding that first corner in the third stretch here, but they have over 5 minutes to reach this final checkpoint, and everyone's still stuck in the spawn. Pulse Bomb goes out, does get the sticky, but does not get the damage he's looking for as Midnight's quick on the Zarya bubbles.
They're going to go ahead and pop the sound barrier in their own base pretty much because Mezzer with a big Primal Rage, they're going to go ahead and pop the Tax Visor, gets the Nano Boost as well into a sound barrier, picks up 2 kills here. Rise Nation finally showing some signs of resistance on defense, but honestly, 4:45 is so much time. That's one team fight with where the payload's at.
Well, thankfully for Rise, they were able to bust out at all. Like, whether it took 3 ults or 10, like, they had to stop that train from reaching the checkpoint, or they were going to be screwed on extra rounds. And I saw Xretzy actually got the Lawnmower combo, Nano Visor, to really just shred anything that was in their face. It was Mezzer to start off, but then he was able to collect 2 more kills to help that defense regain control. Mezzer's going to be the first one to dive in here for Liquid, and Primo Dolce going to go down again. Shatter 2K is just always on the Reinhardt, it seems. He gets stuck in the Graviton Surge, and it cannot make use of his Dragon Blade. So Rise, nice little benefit there, just being able to shut down that Genji.
Yeah, and even more importantly is the Transcendence came through, and it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. As like you said, it's going to be Team Liquid forced to back off of this one. Attack Visor pretty even now as Xretzy. They're just going to go ahead and dive into this again as we see them find the first pick on a Primo. Attack Visor coming out from ID, picks up 1 kill, looking for a second behind the crates there. He is going to be able to pick off Tracer, and this might just secure it, Josh.
Ooh, Spirit fell so low on health before he was even able to use the ultimate, so he dies with it in hand. Pulse Bomb from AZK. He knew Primo Dolce wouldn't be able to get out the door without getting stuck, and round 1 complete. 3 minutes and 33 seconds to get 3 points. Very nice stuff there.
Yeah, that's almost an unheard of time, Josh. At this level of play,
yes.
You don't, especially with how close these teams were in the first on Route 66, and even Lijiang Tower, despite it being 3-1 for Rise and a couple of lopsided rounds, I'd still say it was extremely close throughout most of the fights, to say the least. So seeing 333 come through from Team Liquid, they really turned it up a notch here.
They pretty much just blasted through. I think the second stretch I didn't even see, like, at all, because the action was just already in the third stretch the entire time, keeping them pinned inside their actual farthest spawn. Worked out beautifully for them, and man, Team Liquid just looking so good there on the attack. I really wonder if they're going to be able to replicate that on defense. They're really good at just breaking down the walls, essentially. Their flankers know exactly where to go and what to do. And ID basically just stayed with the healers, didn't have to do any flanking because AZK and Shatter were just so good with the Genji and the Tracer. Now, flipping sides, we're going to have Rise Nation here on the attack. They're lining up the full dive composition with that Zenyatta. And Zenyatta does work really well for Locke. He is one of the better Zenyatas in NA that favors him, in my opinion at least. So Rise Nation should be happy to have him. 25 seconds until doors open. We can see the defense from Liquid is just going to be triple tank plus soldier as usual.
Yeah, not too surprised to see them go over to that. Probably going to look to deal with Spirit on the Pharaoh. Of course, they don't know he's going to be breaking out the Pharaoh, but that is what worked for Rise Nation on Lijiang Tower, so might as well try it out here. Go with that triple DPS setup and go over to the dive composition that we saw work from them earlier. So let's see if Rise Nation can get off to a good start here, as they're going to need to if they want to match 333.
All right, doors are open. Let's take a look at Spirit flying overhead, actually going straight over the point, perhaps looking for a soldier or Ana kill as quickly as possible, but soldier is on the high ground, as he usually is posted up there. Midnight, the attacking soldier, going to be the first one down, as well as Xretzy eating a Helix rocket from Shatter 2K. So the first push goes pretty poorly here for Rise. They're going to be forced back by Liquid easily.
I really like that move from ID to just go ahead and help out Shatter up top, really taking care of business with Xretzy, and of course Primo can't really afford to move in on him when that Diva's up there, so I really like that teamwork coming out from them. Oh, the Helix coming out from Shatter, lands it mid-air onto a Pharah, Fire Strike as well from Mezzer down below, finds that pick, and again, gonna force Rise to look for a regroup.
Poor Spirit couldn't get in the window as he was starting to take all that fire, but the risk, what is happening? Primo Dolce is actually way in the back line here, away from his team and doing absolutely nothing right now. So this is a very awkward position for a Winston to be in. Of course, he can just leap directly onto Soldier and Ana from this position, but does risk getting put to sleep. Rafa does spot him as well.
Yeah, he just got spotted up there. They had to have known that something wasn't right, given the fact they didn't know where the main tank from Rise Nation was at here. But Primo going to go ahead and pounce into the back here. Good regroup back towards the hotel, actually coming out from Team Liquid.
Yeah, they're very quick to rotate, and Ana nearly actually goes down to Spirit's Pharah. He's going to try and collect the kill now, and he does with the help of his Tracer, but Liquid found 3 kills in that same amount of time, so every little coordination that Rise happens to get, Liquid are matching, but better.
Oh, Shatter, man, finding another Helix kill, helping his team clean that one up. Now has Attack Visor to work with. They used the Nano Boost, I believe it was on the AZK in the last fight here, but still, they've got a lot to work with. 2 minutes now remaining, and at this point, Josh, if you're Rise, you can only hope to finish with maybe a little bit of time, but there's a Graviton Surge to get this fight started. Easy cleanup coming out from Team Liquid.
Yeah, Liquid all ready to pounce on that Graviton Surge. AZK and Mezzer are right there in the forefront. Retzi is actually on the retreat, but Diva just hops up in his face and shoots him down. Nice little follow-up there from Liquid to, again, control the point. 95 seconds for Rise Nation. Definitely not on pace to set a similar time anymore. They're just hoping to get point A in the next fight or two. But Shatter and Rafa and Mezzer, all with sick ultimates, potentially. Earthshatter comes out and immediately flattens the Reinhardt.
It looked like they had just headbutted, but somehow the Earthshatter comes out while he's charging him from like point blank, Joshy. I don't know if he like saw that coming or just was, you know, going out on a limb to say, hey, I'm gonna Earthshatter right now and come up big for his team. 1 minute remaining. Not a lot to really work with if you're Rise Nation. You're coming up on a few ultimates. I think you look for a dry push. Don't use that sound barrier. Then look for one final push with some ultimates in the end.
Diva Suit Explosion may have gotten a little bit of damage, but no kills. There's a Tactical Visor active for Shatter in the background. Nano boost on him as well, so he's just laying into that Reinhardt shield. Every target is extremely low there, but Rise Nation managed to survive long enough. Retzi finds the sneaky Helix rocket kill onto Shatter before moving on to Ana, getting put to sleep, but Rise have finally broken through the brick wall of Liquid, and they are capturing the point here.
There is no reason whatsoever Rise Nation should be capturing point A, Joshy. They were at a severe ult disadvantage. They only had the sound barrier to work with. That was just good placement of the shield coming out from Primo and his team, able to gather behind him. Like you said, so many of them were low. Locke comes in with some burst healing to help them out, give them a fighting chance here in game number 3.
Excellent work for Rise just to capture point A, but their winner's bracket life is on the line. If they lose here, of course, they will fall to the lower bracket and face off against FaZe Clan, but that'll be a different broadcast if that does end up being the case. Midnight is just zapping people down now for Rise, and they have all the ults to work with, but they just don't have the time.
Well, they were able to hold on to every single one of them. That's the big thing coming out from those guys, and I mean, not a whole lot really coming up for Team Liquid other than the Nano Blade that's going to be probably ready to go for this next fight from Shatter, but he's going to have to work into 6 ultimates. I don't expect Rise to actually drop all of them at the same time, so we'll see what kind of ult management comes out from them, because they're going to need those later on here to be able to actually finish this map with a little bit of time remaining.
Well, they had a ton of time to plan out how they were going to do this, and Nano Visor seems to be the first order here as Retzi just plows through the entire enemy team. Liquid returning, just feeding themselves into the blender, but they only needed that because the positioning and the timing were quite spot on, and the second stretch can be very difficult to stop anyone anyway, so Liquid still have a potential here to stick one foot onto the payload, keep that contest going. Mezzer's going to be the first one in, and he does have Primal Rage to work with.
They also have that Nano Blade still ready to go. Graviton Surge comes out from Midnight. There's no follow-up. There's the Nano Blade now from Shatter. into a sound barrier and a whole hog that's pushing him all the way back. Finds a pick on the Faz. AZK with one of his own. There's Shatter tearing that is going to be dropped by Locke though, and this should actually maybe secure this one. They need to take care of the Winston.
Oh no, Retzi actually had a nice opportunity to help out, but he kind of just fed into the few Liquid players that were remaining, and Liquid are going to hang on with only 2 meters to go. That was unfortunate. I think there were maybe 3-on-3 left by the end of the Ultimate Storm flying out, but as Retzi got knocked over, that kind of stalled things out for Rise. Liquid, they have the timing now to set up on the high ground exactly how they want to, and AZK's at the ready with the Pulse Bomb.
Yeah, Dehang actually hit a crucial bio grenade to actually deny any healing from Locke that might have been able to save them and get the checkpoint, but it's such a long spawn that this will be their final opportunity to engage Midnight under so much pressure. Retzi can go ahead and pop the tac visor, picks up one kill into ID, and this is their opportunity to move in and to get secure the second checkpoint.
Retzi just has visor after visor, and they only got a kill on D.Va, so the card itself is still heavily contested. There's nano boosts out on both sides. Spirit, as the Roadhog, is going to have to use his take a breather just to stay alive while nano boosted, but Spirit and company seem to be getting a couple of kills. It's still, again, about a 3-on-3 actually on the point, and Mezer's Primal Rage is making this very difficult to break free.
Graviton Surge comes through, finds Rafa, but remember how far of a spawn it actually is for the offense. The whole hog, though, picks up the kill on the Mezer. ID doesn't even want to contest this. Oh, they are going to come back into this. They have AZK now back in the mix. Self-destruct is actually forced out here. Finds a pick on the Spirit. That's a crucial one.
Wow, that's actually a great benefit as the attackers are still spawning from a mile away. Retzi's not even in this fight, for example, so every kill that Liquid can get would be beneficial, but Retzi shows up and actually uses one Helix Rocket to take out the enemy soldier and enemy D.Va's suit. Kind of interesting timing on the kill feed there as D.Va died before her suit died to the Helix Rocket, but either way, Rise Nation, they have a minute and 15 seconds left to get as far as they possibly can. If they don't complete the map, though, Team Liquid will walk away with the series.
Well, honestly, I think best case scenario is for Rise is to finish without at least a second on the clock so they have another push, Joshy. If they finish in overtime, going up against 333 is going to be tough. But we see the nano boost actually coming out there from Dehang. Still kills coming out here for Rise.
Spirit finding a great angle there as Roadhog, a little bit of freedom to just blast away. And they do actually sweep out Team Liquid. 45 seconds to go, so they have a potential to finish with some time on the board, as amazing as that sounds. And Retzi going to be returning now as well to join in. Shatter 2K does have Tactical Visor ready to go. No Nano Boost to go with it, but he may need to use it just to save the day here. Primo Dolce, first one down. AZK trades with him, and the Tactical Visor will go out into the sound barrier.
Yeah, that's really rough for Shatter. Had an opportunity to break it out, but remember, AZK found that Pulse Bomb kill, which is big. The Primal Rage now coming out from Mezer picks up a kill, but Retzi dropped with the Tac Visor activated. They do find Faz as well. 10 seconds to get back to the payload. They only have a Reinhardt and that Tracer in the area.
Oh, Shatter 2K, sneaky kill onto Spirit, actually plants a Helix Rocket and a melee onto him. And with the sound barrier there, Liquid are able to deflect anything coming back. GG's across the board there between Rise and Liquid, but Team Liquid are going to be your winners here in the quarterfinals and move on into the semis versus Selfless. Rise will fall to the lower bracket and will be facing FaZe later on.
Just looking ahead a little bit, Josh, you gotta wonder, with Rise already falling to Selfless in the group stages, 0-2, what kind of a shot does Liquid really have against Selfless, as they barely managed to come out on top? I guess Kings Row was quite the difference, but the first two maps were pretty neck and neck, I'd have to say here. So curious to see what they're able to muster up against Selfless.
I'll say that if Liquid can keep it to payload maps, I think they've got a decent shot, as you know, they clearly won that one by a large margin. Route 66, don't forget, they finished with over a minute and a half left and still had a minute and a half on Rise in the extra rounds, even though it was a little bit closer in the extra rounds. So Liquid, I think they were the favorites coming in perhaps, and definitely walked away with the win. So they're going to be happy to move into the semifinals, which we will be bringing you today as our next best of three. It's going to be, of course, Selfless versus Liquid, but we will take a break before then. As we refresh it there, you can see Selfless and Team Liquid pop up. I love that feature of the assets there, but Thanks, everybody, for coming to watch. We're over 9,000 viewers now. That's pretty ridiculous. Team Liquid and Rise had a nice, thrilling conclusion for us, but we are going to have to jump to a break now. You can see all the sponsors along the bottom of your screen. They've got some excellent products that they want to sell to you guys, the viewers. So please enjoy this lovely montage of commercials as we take a little break and get ourselves set for the last BO3 of the day. It will be Selfless versus Team Liquid. Don't go anywhere.